Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll be showing you how you can configure 3 routers. In my previous video I showed you how you can configure 2 routers so that PC existing on one router will be able to communicate with a PC existing on the second router. In this video I'll be adding the third router so that you'll be able to configure it in such a way that PC existing on this third router will be able to communicate with any of these PC. So for you to create this network topology, if you want to add a router to this simulation window, you need to select it from here. Also, if you want to add switch and each of these pieces, you can select it from here. I didn't want to show you how to add it because I believe anybody looking for how to configure 3 router must have known how to create a network topology. So if you are having any issue creating it, you can let me know in the comment section below. I'll go ahead and just do the configuration so that this video won't be too long. So once you create this network topology, you also take note of the IP addresses I have labeled here. As you can see, this place is using 192.168.1.0/24. Likewise, other places. Another difficulty that I feel you are going to have is adding this serial cable. The normal number of interfaces existing on a router is usually 2, so for you to be able to make use of 3, like in this case this router is making use of 3 interfaces, you need to add a serial port. I have done a video separately on how to add a serial cable or how to connect 2 routers using a serial cable. If you don't know how to do that, you can check the description of this video. I will leave a link to the video in the description below. So having said that, let's get started. The first thing you need to do is to configure IP addresses to the interfaces of this router. There are 2 ways in which you can do that. You can either do that using the command line interface or using the graphic user interface. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can do it using both of these 2 methods. In this video, I'm not going to show you how you can configure IP addresses to each of these PC because I believe you must know how to configure IP address to a PC. Once you click on it, you just come to the config tab, you assign the default gateway, you go to the first Ethernet 0, you then put the IPv4 address. So you just follow the same step, and using this network labels you'll be able to configure IP addresses to each of these PC. So I'll focus on how you can configure the interfaces of this router and as well how you can configure a static route so that PCs on this network will be able to communicate with PC on every other network. So let's first begin with this router 3. So I'll click on it. The first thing to do is to configure IP address to the interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0 as I have labeled there. Okay, it's not making use of, this one is making use of serial port 0/1/0. So I'll first of all configure it. I'll navigate to it. The IP address should be 192.168.1.1.2. So I'll copy it so I won't be wasting time. Click on our caps lock so that we update the subnet mask. I'll turn on the port status. After that, I need to go to the gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0 to configure IP address to it as well. So I'll click on it. I'll paste that address, change it to .3.1 as well. I'll update the subnet mask and turn on the port status. So we are done with the interface IP address configuration for this router. Let's move to the second one. So this one is making use of 3 interfaces. The first one is serial port 0/1/0. So we'll first begin with that. The IP address should be 192.168.1.1, not 2 in this case. I'll update the subnet mask and then turn on the port status. So we need to go to the second serial interface, which is /1/1. So I'll as well configure IP address to it. The IP address should be .2.2 as well. I'll update the subnet mask and turn on the port status. So okay, I need to go to the third one. Sorry, the third one is making use of gigabit ethernet 0/0/0. So I'll click on it and configure the IP address to it. This should be .4.1. so I'll update the subnet mask and turn on the port status as well. So I'm done with this router. I need to go to the third router and do the same thing. The third router is also making use of serial 0/ let me check it very well, 0/1/0. so I'll go back, serial 0/0/0. I also paste the IP address. This should be .5.1. so I'll update the subnet mask as well and turn on the port status. Okay, the next one is gigabit ethernet 0/0. okay, I'll paste this as well. I've made a mistake in the other one. This should be 192.168.2.1, not .5. it should be .2.1. okay, so I'll go to this one. This one now should be .5.1. okay, yeah, it should be .5.1. I'll turn on the port status. So I'm now done with the interface IP address configuration for each of these router. The next thing now to do is to configure a static route to these routers, that is telling this router about each of this network. This router only knows about this network and this network. It doesn't know about this network, or this network. So we are going to configure a static route telling it about each of these networks. So we have 3 different networks that we need to tell this router about. So let's first begin. Once you click on it, then you go to static route. Then from here you need to enter the network address of this one. Let's first begin with this network. So the network address is 192.168.4.0. 192.168.4.0. so the subnet mask should be 255.255.255.0. let me copy this subnet mask because I'll be making use of it a lot. So the next of hop IP address is the IP address of this interface. That is the interface this router is connecting to. So the IP address should be 192.168.1.1 in this case. So I will add it to the routing table. So that is the first one. We need to do it for the second network. The second network here is this one, 192.168.2.0. so I will simply edit this .2. so the subnet mask remains the same and the next of hop IP address remains the same. So I'll simply add this as well. So we have 2 network. So we need to do it for the third network, which is this one. So we need to also change only this network address, which is .5 in this case. We'll now add it here. So we now have all the static route configuration that we need to do on this router. So we need to close it and then go to the second router. Okay, the static route the network that we need to tell this router about are, the first one is this one, then the second one is this one. There is no other. It already knows about this network, and this network. So we need to just tell it about these 2 networks. So let's open the static route configuration interface. So the first network address we are going to be telling it about is 192.168.3.0. yes, of course. So we need to paste the subnet mask we copied. Then is making use of next of hop IP address is 192.168.1.2. 192.168.1.2. So we need to add it to the routing table. So we need to also tell it about this other network by just changing this to 5, because it's making use of the same subnet mask, but in this case the next of hub IP address is not the same, so we are going to change it to 192.168.2.1, 192.168.2.1 instead. We'll as well add it to the routing table. So we are done with this second router. Let's move to the third router. We need to open the static route configuration interface as well. We need to tell this router about 3 networks, which is this one, and this one. So let's first begin with this one. This one is 192.168.3.0. so the subnet mask should be what we copied before. The next of hub should be the IP address of this interface, serial interface, which is 192.168.2.2. In this case 192.168.2.2. so we'll add it to the routing table. So we need to tell it about this network as well, which is 192.168.1.0. so we'll simply change it to .1.0. so add it. Okay, the last one is this network 192.168.4.0. so I will simply change it to .4.0 and then add it as well. So we are done with the static route configuration for each of these 3 routers. So let's now test our configuration. Just like I said before, I will not show you how to configure IP addresses to each of these PC, because I believe anybody looking for how to configure IP address to these routers will be able to learn networking to some extent, and doing that will not be a problem. So I'll simply ping from one of these PC to another. So let me open this. Let me even check if there is IP addresses configured to them already. Okay, let me open the command prompt and then ping one of these PC. I'll ping PC6, ping 192.168. It should be .5 dot 5.2. so let's see if it will reply us. If it doesn't reply us, that means we have made a mistake somewhere, but hopefully it will. As you can see, this PC is replying us. If we try the second one by simply changing this last number to 3, I believe it's also going to reply us. So let's give it some time. It should also reply us. So guys, you have seen how to configure static route to each of these router, telling it about any network existing on the topology. So you can also do this using the command line interface. So it's not only done using the graphic user interface, I believe it's even more faster on the command line interface. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we'll begin by first removing this static route and the interface IP addresses that we have configured to each of these routers. So I will go to this interface, I'll remove this one, then of the port I'll go to this interface, I'll remove this one as well, I'll remove it, and off the port as well. Do we have anything configured to this interface? No. So we also need to delete the routing tables that we have configured. I'll delete it, delete this one as well, delete this one as well. So I will close this one, go to the second router and remove the IP addresses as well. Off the port, go to serial interface, delete it. Off the port as well, go to the second serial interface, delete it, and off the port. So we are done with this one. Let's do that for the third one. Okay, we have now cleared the routing table for this one. So you need to go to static and delete the two routes we have configured to it. I'll repeat that on this one. Gigabit 0, delete it of the port. Serial interface, delete it of the port. Then I will then go to the static route configuration and delete each of these. So I'll remove all of them. So now let's repeat the same process using the command line interface. We will begin with the configuring IP addresses to the interface of this router. So let's begin with this router. Go to the CLI. This log you are seeing here is here because of the graphic user interface that we just used. Whenever you are configuring IP address using the graphic user interface, is running on the terminal. That means the same thing that you have done on the command line is being done using the graphic user interface. So that is why you are seeing all this log. So if you have not done this using the graphic user interface, whenever you open a router, you are going to see it like this. Let me show you. You are going to be brought to a terminal looking like this. So the first thing you need to do is to enter enable configure terminal. Then from here now you can begin configuring the interfaces of the router. So let's first begin with the serial S0/0/1/0. Let's configure IP address to this interface. The IP address should be 192.168.1.2. Then we need to specify the subnet mask, which I've copied before. I'll paste it and click enter. Then no shutdown. So we'll need to go to the second interface, which is G0/0/0. Click on enter, then IP address. Then this should be 192.168.3.1. So I will now paste the subnet mask that I've copied before. Click on enter. No short. So we have configured IP address to the interface of this router. To save our time, we are going to configure the static route, that is telling this router about this network, and this network, just like we did using the graphic user interface. The command to do that is IP route. Then we need to put the network address. Let's first begin with this one, 192.168.4.0. So after the network address, you need to put the subnet mask, which I have copied. Let me just simply paste it. Then the next thing is the next of hub IP address. The next of hub IP address is 192.168.1.1 in this case. So I'll click on enter. Then this IP address will be added to the routing table of this router. So let's do for the second router, which is for the second network, which is this one. We just did for .4.0, which is this one. So we'll do for this one. You should just change this 4 to 0. We'll change it to 0. We'll add this one as well to the routing table. So let's do for the third network, which is this one. We'll simply change that to 5, because the network address of this one is 192.168.5.0/24. So I will change this as well to 5. I'll change it to 5 and click on enter. So we have configured the static route for each of those 3 networks on this router. So let's move to the second router, which is this one. We'll first begin by configuring IP addresses of the interfaces of the router. So sorry for the mistake. Okay, let me adjust this window so I won't be blocking you. Okay, let's first begin with this interface. What is happening? Okay, sorry, I'll first of all go to the command line interface, then no need of exiting to the global config mode. Okay, interface, okay, configure terminal. So once you are here, you can enter this interface s0/1/1 to configure it, s0/1/1. so IP address, it should be 192.168.2. It should be .2 for this one. Click on, then we'll enter the subnet mask, click on enter. Then we need to enter the second interface, which is s0/1/0. Click on enter. Then the network interface IP address of this one should be 19, okay, IP address 192.168.1.1 in this case. I then paste the network subnet mask of which I've copied. Click on enter. Then the last thing is to configure this gigabit 0/0/0 interface. So I'll enter the interface G0/0/0. Click on enter. Then IP address, this should be 192.168.4.1. then I need to paste the subnet mask as well. Click on enter. So we are done with the interface IP address configuration. The next thing is to configure the static route. Just like I did in the other router, I need to exit to the global config mode, then using this command IP route. Then the next thing is the network IP address. First we'll tell this router about this network, which is 192.168.3.0. then we'll paste the subnet mask and then tell it about the next of hop IP address. The next hop IP address is 192.168.1.2. so click on enter. We have added that to the routing table. Okay, another network we'll have to tell this router about is this one. So I'll use the up arrow and change the network address to the current one, which is .5. Also I need to change the next of hop IP address, which should be 192.168.2.2.1 in this case. Yes, it should be .2.1. I'll click on enter. So I'm done with the configuration on this second router. I'll just save the configuration. I'll go to the third router. Okay, I've been making one mistake. I've not been turning on the port. That is why this is not turning to green. So I have to do that quickly. So I'll enter each of these interfaces of which I've configured IP addresses to. So interface s0/0/1/0, no short. Okay, I've turned this one on. Let me go to G0/0/0, no short. I've turned this one on as well. I'll quickly do that on this router as well. The first interface is S0/1/0, no short. Okay, as you can see, it has come up. Okay, I'll go to the second interface, which is G0, interface G0/0/0, no short. This one will also come on. I'll go to the third one, interface S0/0/1/1, no short. So I've turned each of them on. So let's now proceed to this one to configure the interface IP address. So I'll go to the command line interface, then I need to configure IP address to this interface first, which is gigabit ethernet 0/0/0 interface G0/0/0. Click on enter. IP address, it should be 192.168.5 dots, it should be .1. Then I'll paste the subnet mask here. Click on enter. Then I will need to configure the serial interface S0/1/0. Click on enter. Then IP address 192.168.2.1. Then I'll paste the subnet mask as well. So the next thing now is to configure the static routes on this router. Okay, I made the same mistake. I will need to turn on this status no short. Okay, this one is up. I'll go to the second interface, which is gigabit internet interface G0/0/0. I'll turn it on as well, no short. So is now up. The next thing is for us to configure static routes on this router. So just like we have been doing on other routers, we have to tell this router about this network, and this network. So I'll first begin by telling it about this one by using the same command IP route, then the network address 192.168.3.0. After that, I'll paste the subnet mask and then the next of hub IP address. In this case, the next of hub IP address is 192.168.2.2. In this case, I'll click on enter. I've told it about this network. I have to tell it about this second network. So I'll use the up arrow, simply change this .3 to .1. It's also making use of the same next hub IP address. So I'll click on enter. For the third network, which is this one, I will simply change the network address to this 4.0. So I use the up arrow as well and changes to .4.0. I'll click on enter. So that is all for this static route configuration on the last router. So the next thing for us to do now is to test our configuration. So I will simply let me just save this, do right. Okay, I will now ping from one of these PC to the other. Okay, also make use of this PC. I'll ping the other one. If we didn't make any mistake, then they should reply. But if there's any mistake, it's going to time out or is not going to be reachable at all. So it's replying us. Let's ping the second one. It should reply us as well. Let's watch and see. Second one, third one has replied. Okay, for more clarity, let's also ping this PC on this network. Okay, ping 192.168.4.2. it should also reply us if our configuration is correct. Hopefully the second one, third one has replied us. If we change it to this router PC5, it should also reply us, because if the static route configuration is done properly, the PC should be able to be reachable. So thank you guys for listening. If you have any question, you can let me know in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer it. Also, if you are not subscribed to this channel, please do that by using that subscribe button below and turn on notifications so that you'll be updated once I release a new video. Lastly, if this video was helpful, please give it a like. It really helps for YouTube to push this video to other people. So thank you.